Hi there everyone, and welcome to a video that I've never seen anywhere else on YouTube. This may be the actual first ever video of this kind. Nevertheless, over the last year and a half, you've seen me upload military structure after military structure from history, and so today I'm not only going to give you some ranks, but I'm also going to give you a breakdown of their history and usage throughout their history. So let us continue. The generalissimo was the first ever rank in my Soviet Army rank video, and really the first ever thing I mentioned on this channel. And I never really discussed it in great detail apart from its command. However, the word generalissimo itself is an Italian term meaning the most absolute or the most superior general. The rank was most commonly used by the head of a military directly under the sovereign monarch in most European nations. This was most common from the early modern era. Moreover, the first notable time that the generalissimus was used, or imperial generalissimus, was used by Albrecht von Wallenstein of the Holy Roman Empire in 1632. Since the days of the 1600s, the rank has been adopted by China from Chiang Kai-shek to Brazil's Deodoro de Fonseca of the Brazilian army. However, there were comparable titles during the medieval era and Middle Ages, and other titles with similar powers, which included the Caudillo, or warlord, used by Franco, the Shogun, military leader of Japan, used by the Tokugawa shogunate, the Ispas Salar, or the Persian title of army commander, used by the Islamic world from the 10th to the 15th century, the autocrator, the Byzantine and Greek military commander, the Grand Marshal, which I'm sure you can guess what that is, the Rigsmarsk, or the Danish commander-in-chief used around the 15th century, I think, the Spabed, or the Sasanian-era military commander in the Middle East, or the Grand Constable, one of the many great officers of France which often hold the position of a general as well. The rank of Field Marshal is traditionally the head of an army within many European nations, American nations, some Middle Eastern nations, and very few Asian nations. However, it can be translated to the medieval title of Keeper of the King's Horse. It can also be translated into Old German as Horse Servant or Marskalk. The rank could also be titled as the Field Marshal or Field Marshal General, depending on where you were located at the time. Other countries such as Spain and Chile adopted the Captain General as their Field Marshal rank, whereas other European nations just got rid of the Captain General rank or shortened it and replaced it with a Field Marshal. Now, in the Middle East, the system of ranks there is quite different, and the Musci, which would be the Marshal, would be translated as Councillor instead of, well, a Field Marshal. Much like in a similar way that the German ranks don't directly translate as to what they're supposed to be, but anyway. The rank of General is more commonly used today to denote the commander of a field army, and the rank itself originates with the Middle French rank of Captain General in the 16th century. The rank of General is not the same within every nation, and especially in the Middle Eastern nations and old European nations, as I mentioned, and within the kingdoms of Prussia, France, the rank of full General will be given with the title of a branch of service, such as General of the Artillery, General of Infantry, etc., in the same way that Napoleon Bonaparte was the General of Artillery. Now, the Colonel General is also a rank that may replace or be above or below the General in the old Germanic systems of Austria and the German Empire, and in France this rank would actually be an office of the crown rather than a military rank in itself. It may also carry the title of Generaloberst mit dem Range eines Generalfeldmarschall, which translates to Colonel General acting within the capacity of a Field Marshal. The Lieutenant General, or an Army Corps General, is another rank which has a very long history. Interestingly, during the medieval era, Middle Ages, up to quite modern history, this rank's role never really changed on the battlefield and would always be considered the second in command to the field commander or general that was directing the army. This is due mainly to the word lieutenant, meaning assistant or placeholder, then the general, which indicates an assistant general. However, within the United States military, it was only used for the Commander-in-Chief George Washington up until the Civil War, when Ulysses S. Grant was awarded the rank during the American Civil War, of course, and put in command of all Union theaters of war, for the Army anyway. The Major General has caused a lot of confusion amongst those who are unfamiliar with the rank of generals and their military history. The rank of Major General was originally titled the Sergeant Major or Sergeant Major General. However, it could be shortened to just Major General during the 18th century to just cause much ease, and the rank of Major itself was shortened from Sergeant Major to just Major. Yes, Sergeant Major was where the rank of Major is now. And this has often caused confusion because people don't realise that it was called Sergeant Major, and so are confused why the Major General is below a Lieutenant General. The rank was last commonly used, to my knowledge, during the English Civil War of 1642 to 1651, when Cromwell's New Model Army would give the title to many of their new commanders, or it seems to be during that era of the 17th century that it's most commonly used, and then it really dies out towards the sort of 18th century. That the start of that's when it's completely sort of just like it's done. The rank of Brigadier General is the lowest rank within the general officer ranks of almost every army that uses it, being created by Spain in 1702 and given to Spanish commanders in the American colonies of the Viceroyalty of New Spain. However, in Britain it was replaced between the years of 1922 and 1928 by Colonel Commandant, then Colonel of the Staff. In Spain, though, however, by the year 1871, the rank was considered a general rank and was renamed to General de Brigada by the late 1800s. An interesting thing to note is that countries such as the Netherlands will use the rank of Brigadier as a senior non-commissioned officer in their police force. Now, some countries that tend to use different titles for generals, or perhaps hold additional titles for positions of generals within their armies, include some examples such as the Adjutant General, which is the Chief Administrative Officer, the Inspector General, which is the Chief Investigative Officer, the General-in-Chief, the Commander-in-Chief of the Army, the General of the Army, a 5-star rank comparable to a Field Marshal in the USA, the General of the Armies of the United States, which is a 6-star rank given to John Pershing and George Washington, and the Lieutenant Colonel General, or General Podполковник, is a Sub-Colonel General in Montenegro, Macedonia, Serbia, and Slovenia. It was never used in Yugoslavia, but that's, to my knowledge, all of the general ranks I can tell you about.
101 pounds of fun, that's my little honey.